And we're back, and we just finished watching 2019's
Deerskin!
A horror comedy about a man's obsession with a deerskin jacket and a quest to be the only, I guess, wearer and owner of a jacket in a small French town.
No, they said the world.
I think they wanted it to be the world.
Okay,
but,
yes.
I mean, you got to start somewhere.
I guess you gotta start somewhere. This movie is written and directed by Quentin Dupieux, I'm hoping I say that correctly, and stars Jean Dujardin as Georges, which is a very, very different role than his role in The Artist. Thoughts and impressions? Gee, do you want to go first?
Yeah, this movie was hilarious.
It was insane.
Lee Harriet, hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, that guy breaks a ceiling fan's wing.
A blade, yeah, from the ceiling.
A blade from the ceiling fan and kills people with it.
Who knew that
He honed a ceiling fan blade into like the sharpest, deadliest blade on earth.
Yeah, it cut through a car roof.
It cut through a car roof.
Yeah, this movie is completely unhinged, but in a good way. I was completely absorbed in the story. It's very short. It clocks in at about 77 minutes.
Yeah, it's not
a long film. It's all in French with subtitles. We just watched it on HBO Max. It was Max, right? Not Prime.
HBO Max.
Yes,
yeah.
it's currently streaming on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
It is really interesting storytelling.
It's bizarre.
It's very bizarre.
It's bizarre. Don't go in expecting sort of like a
slice of life movie
or a beginning, middle, and end. It's sort of just it goes.
Yes.
And I mean it builds as it goes, and then it's so strange.
To me it got crazier and crazier.
It got crazier and crazier, and it was like an interesting humorous concept in the beginning, and then it starts getting like
really dark.
Starts getting darker. Like, I mean, something happened to George. There's like hints that like his former life is ruined. His wife has divorced him for some reason. You never find out anything else.
Right. It's very. Yes. The beginning of the movie, where it starts and where it ends, is just completely bananas. I agree with you. The beginning, you're not given a lot of details. You're given a few small kernels, a few breadcrumbs. You get the impression that George is this kind of sad sack kind of individual, but he seems almost accepting of this life. There's a scene where he's on the phone with the wife, and she basically wants nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
And he seems okay.
He seemed fine. Like,
he seemed fine.
He threw his phone away right after that.
Yes, exactly. He threw his cellular phone into a trash can and just walked away.
Like his previous life was gone.
Gone. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because very early in the film, Georges acquires the deerskin jacket, and it's almost like he changes a little. Like in the beginning, you kind of get more shades of maybe sad sack. I think that was my interpretation. But once he gets that deerskin, he was kind
of weird with the corduroy jacket.
He was weird with what he did, but I get the impression that was part of his old life. He was flushing it down the toilet.
He flushed the corduroy jacket down the toilet, and it flooded the bathroom.
In a convenience store or something, right?
Like a convenience store bathroom. So yeah, I guess like the corduroy jacket was like his old life.
Right, which he was just done with.
And it wasn't
freedom.
It wasn't enough to. That was like another thing with the jackets. It wasn't enough to just get rid of like that corduroy jacket. He put it in the toilet.
Right.
He could have thrown it in the garbage, but he put it in the toilet, meaning he wanted to like almost like humiliate the jacket
or destroy it.
Yeah, he definitely was like
not
anthropomorphizing.
He definitely had anger issues.
Definitely.
All through this movie, like I really wish that the end credit theme song was "Jackets" by Shallow Gravy. That would have been amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, it's so. I mean, how do you describe this movie? It is really just so left field. It's so out there, but it's so interesting at the same time because it's like there are broken people in the world. There's this conversation between him and this waitress who Denise that he forms a relationship with or friendship with, and
But in the beginning, it's like he's blatantly trying to take advantage of
the friendship,
ambition to become a film editor or something like that.
Yes, or a film editor, correct.
Yeah.
I want to sit with this movie for a while. I think it's definitely going to be in my brain for a bit. And like I said, I'm watching it and I was completely absorbed in the movie. Sometimes when you're watching a film, your mind wanders. Did I take something out of the freezer for dinner tonight? Did I forget to feed the cat? Did I forget to put my stuff in the dishwasher away? None of that happened here. I was completely absorbed in this film. And again, it's not a long piece, but it's very interesting storytelling. There's a lot going on.
I'm just curious, like, it leaves me wondering, like, what happened to this guy, and also there was, like, other aspects in the story, like the kid who was staring at him.
Yes.
Like, was there something more going on there, and, like, how that sort of resolved in the story, and
I didn't see the ending coming. I thought something else. We're going to try and not spoil the ending.
That was another thing. Like, in my mind, it was, as far as the ending goes,
I thought he was going to kill her.
In my mind, it was like, was that intentional? Did he go there intentionally for that to happen? Or was, like, I
don't think he would have put himself in that situation knowing what was going to happen.
But he had a plan going to this place. Like, he purposely went to this place.
I like his whole, like, so George tells these people, well, he goes to a bar one night and there's Denise, the bartender, and a local woman there, and he tells them that he's a filmmaker. And I think in his quest to make a film, he sort of just wings it. There's no plan. There's no plan for any of that. But the thing is that at that point, this was after, the big windfall, we'll call it. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're a team now. He went to this location for a reason. Like, he went out to the middle of nowhere, basically. And he's like, look at me, film me.
Right.
There was, like, a purpose to that. And I don't know
what it was.
I don't know what it was. Yeah. Was that his purpose? Was there another purpose where it was interrupted? And
we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Can I speak my mind?
Sure, yeah, of course, please.
When he went there, I think he just wanted a remote place where she could film him and all of his deer skin. And that guy just happened to be there.
So maybe George wanted to be a deer. That's why he was doing the things he was doing.
I don't know. He was very obsessed with deerskin after.
Everything had to be deerskin.
I'm surprised he didn't get.
He got like a deerskin hat, gloves, jacket, boots.
The only thing that wasn't deerskin was his shirt.
Yeah, or his underpants. I'm assuming.
I was surprised. Who knows? Who knows? Wearing underpants? You never know.
Olive G.
It is a French movie.
Yes, Olive G. What did you think of the movie?
Wait, I bet in the parents' guide, one instance of sex and nudity is that part where he's taking his shower and you can see his nipples.
I mean, it's possible. I'll look it up. But tell me first, what did you think of the movie? Actually, there is no sex and nudity tagged in this movie.
What?
Shocking. There's only one instance of frightening and intense scenes.
Really?
Rated R for some violent content and language.
There isn't even violence and gore?
I'm surprised. Well, it wasn't really gory. I mean, there was
that one guy who got his face.
Oh, that's true.
And
that's
the
true.
woman in the car.
That's true. Okay. Olive G, what did you think of the movie? Tell me.
I thought it was good.
What did you like about it?
I thought it was crazy.
It was crazy.
It was a very strange story.
insane.
Sure
And I
was
did not
insane.
see that ending coming.
I didn't either.
And
I did.
his craziness like built. It
Yes.
all built upon itself because there was originally it was just like, God, this jacket looks good.
Yeah, killer style.
Killer style, you know. And
I thought that was also
But
interesting.
he wanted more.
And you know what else I thought was interesting? When Denise goes to buy him the deerskin gloves, and the salesman's like, oh, these are synthetic. And he was like, do I look like somebody that would wear synthetic?
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
says, don't you see his killer style?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
she picked up almost a lot of his quirks in a way. I mean, I think she was also just weird to begin with.
She was weird to
She
begin
was
with. And
insane, too.
and it was like she found
Another kindred weirdo.
not only that, but it was almost like she found like a purpose in life through his
Craziness.
through like he
His
was like a
crazy
catalyst.
project.
I wouldn't even say he was an influence on her. It was more like it was just okay. This guy's doing something that he's just going out and doing it. He's like nothing's stopping this guy. He's got nothing. He's all alone. I don't know. He has no past. He has pretty much no future unless I continue.
And she
to
knew
give him
that he
money.
was lying to her.
Yeah,
like
she knew.
I loved that she called him out. She's like, this story about your these financial backers in Siberia, it's all BS. I know it's BS. I've known from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was wild. And it was just so good. I really enjoyed this film. I really, really enjoyed this film.
I enjoyed it a lot, but I mean, it's not.
I mean, it's
not
not
one of my favorite movies, but it's definitely something that held my interest and like it was to me. It was kind of fascinating. Just
yes, the
it's
evolution of the mind.
the evolution of the mind. The guy like losing it over time.
Yeah. And you see him
giving-
almost progressively get crazier and crazier.
Yeah, like initially the stunts are just sort of humorous in how he's like getting jackets, and then suddenly it just takes like such a dark turn.
Quick.
And like.
She said he needs more blood.
And the thing was, like, he like found an ad for this jacket.
Yeah, and
So
he paid a lot of
and
money.
he went out in the middle of nowhere to like this little
Guy's
man in his
chateau.
house in the middle of nowhere, and he spent like a ton of money on this coat.
It's like $7,530
yeah,
or something.
that's a lot of money.
We should, Alexa, how much is 7,500 euros?
7,500 euros is $8,869 US.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He paid $8,000. Well, it was funny because the
almost
old man
nine.
said, "I've never seen this much money." Remember?
He said something before that you chose not to read.
He spent almost 9,000 bucks on a
deerskin
jacket that didn't even fit him.
Yeah,
It looked so much better on Denise.
it did look better on Denise.
At
But
the
anyway,
ending.
But he loved it, I guess, because
it's almost like he became a different person because of the jacket.
I think was he like? It's so weird. It's just,
My interpretation was, I agree that like we mentioned before, the original corduroy jacket that he put in the toilet represented possibly a gift from his wife, ties to his past, and that's why he was so angry with it, kind of, and needed to destroy it in a way. And I think that this new jacket, the deerskin jacket, represented like endless possibilities. I mean, he spoke with authority, he spoke with confidence. He goes to this hotel. Like, who goes to a hotel and says, "Oh yeah, my bank card's busted, but here's my wedding ring as collateral. Just let me stay here." And people are like, "Yeah, okay."
yeah.
Which I thought was also
And
bizarre.
then like the first clerk just blows his own head
Brains
off.
out. Yeah,
it's
that
just
was
like, oh, the first clerk, he killed himself
So-
2 days ago.
Yeah. And he's in room
he's
one.
He's in room one.
If you want to go check him out.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And that's where he gets his hat.
France, you are bananas. I don't know what's going on in your country, but you are bananas. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this movie. I highly recommend it.
It was definitely interesting. It was sort of like a fascinating, not a long movie, as we said, a fascinating ride along with a guy who is clearly becoming more and more insane as the film goes on. It's not, I mean, you're not going to be seeing beautiful cinematography in this. It was shot very simply.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is clear. It's not like Birdemic or something terrible like that. It's professionally done, nicely done, good work. It
definitely had a small budget.
It had a small budget look and feel to it.
My only complaints with it was the focus pulling on some of the scenes. Like, some of it just, sometimes things in the foreground were clearer. Like, obviously when somebody in the background was talking, the person in the front is sort of not focused, and then vice versa. But it's still, I mean, I think after a while I got used to it because that was the style, but I agree with you. I think this movie was very, very low budget. Very low budget. Probably shot in a matter of days.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't really a lot of locations. There wasn't probably it wasn't a huge shot list of things that needed to be filmed.
I think to me, a lot of it, like, there were certain scenes where when he was sort of like going on his spree there, it almost looked like there was all being done on almost the same street.
Yeah.
So clearly they weren't going on many locations, and a lot of the locations were just out of they were just in nowhere.
But that was another thing. I mean, this was like a small town, so you really didn't have a lot of places to go. I mean, I guess he scoped in front of the cinema.
I guess that was
and he would be in his hotel room or at the bar.
Yeah.
And then sometimes on the road. And then sometimes in the field or whatever he was. But
yeah,
I mean,
the hotel seemed out in the middle of nowhere too.
Yes.
Like, there weren't any buildings around that.
No, there wasn't. It was very off the beaten path. So.
And I wonder if he just took over the hotel.
I don't know.
Because there was this scene with his neighbor.
Yes.
And
that was another thing. It's like,
where's everybody else?
Right. Well, I get the impression.
When that guy said you're going to be alone here, I don't think that there were many people there.
I think so too. It's probably like a very small town in the middle of nowhere. I'm assuming that I think the neighbor was the only person that was there, other than the person that was at the front desk.
It was a big building.
Yes.
Yeah.
I doubt, and I think that was another reason why they sort of let him slide with, like, oh, I want to be here for a month, because they probably didn't have a lot of foot traffic in this area. So I think, what do you say, 13 and up maybe for this film? I mean, there's a lot of cursing.
There's cursing in it.
There's
no sex or anything like that.
There's no sex, but there is some graphic violence, or not graphic.
Honestly, it's not even really that graphic. Like, there's no geysers of blood or anything. There's one. I would say there's one scene that had a bit of that was like they showed a quick glimpse of the bloody aftermath of something.
Well, there's also this scene and this scene.
Oh yeah, there's that. But even
I mean, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's not gratuitous.
It's not gratuitous. It's not like hyper disturbing graphic, like,
it is jarring though as you're sitting there watching it, because then all of a sudden it's like, what just happened? Especially the first time it happens. That really was like
kids.
I was like, what is going on?
But overall, I enjoyed it.
I guess we'll take ratings and wrap it up, because there's really not much to say about this. I highly recommend. Again, 13 and up, I think. It is in French. You have to read, folks. But still, very much worth the trip. G, scale of 1 to 10.
I give this movie an 8.
Olive G. Oh. I, too, would give this movie an 8. I think the script is really interesting. The story is really interesting. All the actors were really well done. The weirdness and the isolation all added to the story. Nothing's wasted here, obviously. It's not a long movie, once again, and if you want to watch something that's not typical fare, again, this is categorized as horror comedy, I think this is a great bet. Olive J.
Sorry for the music in the background. That's just our neighbors.
Neighbors having another hoot nanny.
That's okay.
I would give it a 8.
An 8? Okay. What about you?
I'll give it a 7.5. I don't know if it reaches 8 level.
I think it does.
It's
story-wise, it's out there.
It's definitely interesting. Like I said, it's a good ride, but
too many unanswered questions.
There's a lot of unanswered questions.
But I like
there's a lot of
about
interpretation. Yeah, sometimes that's good. In this case, it was good, but I just don't feel like it hooked me that deep. Plus, like usually when you have like these ambiguous sort of things, it's in a more something that has a bit of a more serious tone. And while this did have a serious tone, it started out with a comedic tone, and then it shifted, and that just made it a little. I don't know. It just seemed a little disjointed in that respect. So I still like it. I still like it. I'm not saying that's bad or that you'll lose enjoyment in any kind of way. But for me, it was, I would say 7.5.
Okay, fair enough. So that's it from us, and we will come back with another review soon. Good night.
Night.
Where's Kid 2?
I don't know.
Kid 2 disappeared. Good night.
Good night!
There she is.